I'm Billy Beige, and my channel's all about it's kind of gotten random, but it's kind of fallen more into toy reviews right now. But there should be painting and there should be like other stuff, but it's gonna flip around in 2024 just a little bit. But yeah, my channel's Billy Beige Customs, and you can find a lot of toys on there.
Nice, nice. All right, so first question. Share your your ToyTuber origin story.
Well, uh, it really started with my current job. Getting that, there's a lot of, I don't want to say there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of wait time just to be at the ready in case anything happens or any kind of thing I need to respond to. But part of that's where I'm just like, okay, let me take a look at some YouTube here. Oh, action figures have always been like something I've been into since a kid. Like figures, models, things like that. And having all that time to like watch them and watch people like you, the amazing, that God, even in the time that like I've watched it, some people have like disappeared, which is
Yeah.
odd too. Glass Eater, um, love his stuff. He's got a great script with his stuff. Just all these people reviewing it. It's just like, yeah, that's fantastic, but you missed this, or like how much was that, or like please take a look at this one little spot where this thing
Mhm.
is glued or not glued, and I'm like, well, I'll do that and I'll fiddle with that bit. I'll do the bit that I want to see, kind of
Yeah.
thing. There's a degree of finesse to it, but if you have a camera, a flat surface, a lighted area, and you know, uh, maybe horrible spending, you can do it. So I was like, let me try this, and it at first it was just like, oh, I got some random stuff I keep buying in the mail and forgetting about it because at the time I was doing so much overtime, which is a thing that's always happening. And I was like, let's see what sticks. Opening stuff, see what's in it. Unboxing. Messed around a little bit with like painting or like going like, hey, is this actually what's in this box from Dirt Cheap? And then like I got it's the highest viewed video on my channel, the D&D gelatinous cube. I don't know why
Really?
people. Yes, it's almost like at 10,000 views. I'm like,
Wow.
what? It's just it's a box, and everyone's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
view that. And then I was just like, okay, well I'll just keep doing this then, guys. Sure. And I've tried to keep it fun for myself because like if it's not fun for me to do, then like it's not worth doing. Then it's like a drag then. But like as long as like I keep it fun for myself, kind of keep changing up like what kind of format it is. I kind of want to try to be more in front of the camera this year. That'll help change it some and kind of like keep me on task too, I think, and try to keep it entertaining. That's it.
Nice. So it's been about a year, right? Like
Hmm.
about a year ago you started. Is that right?
Yep, it's just a few months after a year now.
Yeah. And so you're at 1,200 subscribers, right? Is that right?
I just hit, I think, 1,209, 1,210, I think it was.
Okay, so that's pretty good. And I mean, that's what is that, like 100 a month? That's right.
Give
Like
or take.
that's pretty good. I mean, in your first year to hit 1,000, I think that's a great kind of milestone to hit.
Thank you. It was something because I was like, there was some times where I'm just like, because I got a little too focused in the middle of the year on it because I was like, oh, the numbers aren't moving. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah,
Do I
yeah,
suck? Uh, is my voice dumb? And I'm like, yes, it is. But I mean, like, it's probably just like you don't suck though. It's stepping back from that and just kind of like relaxing and go, just put stuff out there that you want to do.
yeah. What surprised you most about running a channel?
I because like the things that I wasn't surprised about was like, okay, it's easy to interact with people through comments and stuff. I love seeing those. I love getting comments, just going like, oh yeah, this person would like point out this or explain that. But there's always the one person who says it for like the 20th time, like, don't you know there's a maggot on the back of the neck of Predator? And I'm like, I figured that out too. It wasn't on the box. But the thing that most surprised me, because I was like, okay, you hit 1,000 subscribers. That's when like the little ad revenue thing starts. you have to turn that on. You have to enable that. And I
Yeah.
got to 1,000 subscribers right before Legion's Con, did the Valiant Night review, and it was like, whoa, a bunch of views on that. I'm like, that's fantastic. I can't wait to see what this does. It's just like, oh, you don't have it enabled, so I enabled it like a couple days after I got home. Like, well, that's 1,700 things that don't count for shit.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Totally.
yeah, it would be that, and mm, obviously I never expected like it to have like a lot of revenue for the ads at first, because like, let's see here, it's after like $100 it has where it'll go into your account and stuff, and it's just like seeing that tick up from there. I was like, oh, okay, that's how that works, because that was like a big question in my head, was like, how does that kind of thing work there? How's that
Yeah.
system work, the ad revenue and things like that? Just from a standpoint not of like making any kind of money or trying to make this profitable, would be just to see how it works. It's just like, oh, it's like that. Okay, it's just okay. See you in 3 months. Maybe it'll go into my bank account.
Yeah, when you're first starting, when you first turn on monetization and you're at 1,000 subscribers, it's like, yeah, there's not much there, and it like, even for me, I'm approaching 8,000. It's still like, it's still only a couple hundred a month. You know what I mean? Like, it's still not much for the amount of energy and time and everything that you put into it. I will say this though, the memberships and the super chats and stuff, those are like probably almost like half, or I don't know, maybe close to half of like the money that comes out of YouTube for me, which, I tend to roll it into equipment like this microphone, or
Mhm.
put it into, more figures to review or figures for giveaways and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, even it takes a while. You got to be pretty damn big to be making like decent money with it.
Yeah, I can like just from the fractional there, obviously, like, okay, there's like me, there's you, there's D Amazing, and then going into like a different group of YouTubers there. I can only imagine what Markiplier brings in now. I'm just like, that guy,
Who is it?
Markiplier. He has where he does a lot of gameplay videos and stuff like that. He's top tier on that. Like, he has millions of subscribers.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
he's full time. Yeah,
yeah, but it's just like, there's a video that comes out. I can't remember if it's like, he doesn't do. I don't think he does daily, but it does like maybe a couple every other day, and it's just like, he definitely has an editor and all these things and stuff. It's just like,
yeah. I mean, even
wow.
small channels like, I had Nerdzoic on the ToyTubers last year, and
Hmm.
and obviously his situation is much different because he has a store, and
Hmm.
part of his YouTube channel is marketing that store. So there's expenses, like some of those expenses are part of that marketing or whatever. But yeah, he outsources the editing, and he works with one or two editors. I want to say they're not in the U.S. I forget what he said about that, but yeah, he outsources it.
It's crazy to me, because like, I do all of this on an Android phone. It's just like,
Yeah,
whoa. And back to like any kind of revenue coming back from there, I'm like, I'm excited for that first payout. Just be like, okay, when it's small, it's paying for my gas to work. When it gets that going, I'm like, okay, this is supporting my other job, my my main job.
yeah.
And I'm like,
It's
okay. And once it starts to get up there more, I'm like, oh yeah, like, roll it into stuff and the actual figures to review. So it'd be nice to have where it's self-sustaining. That
right.
that would be the
Yeah,
goal right there. It's hard to part. Like, I don't part with like mythic legions and stuff
yeah,
unless it's like, oh, I bought 4 or 5 of these. Let's let one go. Um,
right. Same.
but like other stuff, it's sometimes it's easy to like, shoot, what did I sell recently? I hate to say it, like, I'm putting up a Plunder Strong I got from my
Hmm.
friend Hank Shaw. He had where he was selling it. I was like, oh, let me get this. I was gonna do a review on it and everything, and I still I I had where I recorded the whole review, and I just wasn't happy with the figure. It just didn't feel good, and I was like, I don't kind of want to put like. There's one thing if it's like Super 7 putting something out there, and it's like
or Hasbro,
sometimes
or
they hit a high mark. I will say it, they hit a high mark, but then sometimes it's like trash.
yeah.
But when it's like a small company and putting it out, I'm just like, okay, this is their first run of this. This has where it's obviously like it was a big fun idea for Kickstarter where it's like it's the Typhoon one, I think it is, the green
Mm-hmm.
one. Um, it just wasn't fun to play around with, and I was just like, I'm not gonna do this review. I'm not gonna like dog on at least a little bit because I know like when they get to the next run it'll be better. But I'm selling that. I bought it, the arm, the extra hand pack, the little mini plunderling bodies for it to put the heads on. And I was just like, you're going in the eBay pile.
Yeah. Same thing happened to me with and I know people love this one, but the big Animal Warriors gorillas,
Mm-hmm.
like it was Tanger, right? That was the exclusive over the
Man,
summer. Yeah, that was the Beastman tribute. That, like, I got that in, and I just wasn't feeling it. Like, I didn't like the way it moved. I didn't like the feel of the joints or any, like, it just wasn't doing it for me. So rather than do a review where I'm sort of like shitting on a figure,
mm-hmm.
I just let it go. I sold it. I mentioned, and maybe in my post that I wasn't digging the figure, but I'm not going to spend a whole review just shitting on a figure of, a company. And I know like some people would probably be like, well, you should hold them to the standard or whatever. But there's just something about, a small company on their first run of these things. Like, it didn't sit right with me in terms of doing that. And maybe there's a conflict of interest. I mean, they have sent me some figures, some, could be favoritism or whatever, but yeah, I just didn't want to do that.
It really is just like not want to shitting on a small company. Um, I saw that figure too, and it's like it looks good, but it's just like it could be a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't picked up any of the animals of Warrior Kingdom
Oh, they're
yet,
so good.
but when that second wave comes out, and I pre-ordered where they had because they used to have where I think it was 4 inch was the original scale they had for like
Yeah.
they have the one I think it's like a wolf with a cybernetic arm.
Mm-hmm.
I can't it's Knight something or whatever. Random names in all these toys lines. I got that on pre-order because I was like, that looks really cool. They have the female figures coming out. I'm like, there's like a gorilla lady that looks really cool. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think that second wave will be what pulls me in because it'll have a little bit more variety to it. So I
Yeah.
think that'll be my toe in the water with that. And I got no problem shitting on some things because like, oh god, did I trash that war bear, that poor war bear from Memory Toys. um but like I'm starting to see, I'm like, okay, well, what kind of quality is this? Because I'm used to legions and stuff. It's like, okay, if this comes in, this has where if there's an issue, it's like talked about online or things like that, and they have where they can like fix it, or they'll do their best to fix it. With that Warbear, I got in. I'm like, those hips were so loose, and its range of motion in general was like, it looked great though. Looks great. I still have where I'm gonna probably repaint it, but like,
Mm-hmm.
had no problem shitting on it.
What tool or piece of equipment has had the most impact on your videos?
Lights, lights in general. They have, oh god, they used to be like $40. Was like the little square. Let me see. I got one somewhere here. Hold tight. Hopefully, I don't knock everything off. Oh, let's see here. This is a Vivitar light here, and it has where it goes through like a different bunch of different color settings,
Yeah.
different warmths and stuff like that. Uh, it could even has like where it could do like candlelight and like rain effects and all these like random things. I touched on a little bit in some of my like more ambitious little. I got inspired. I did a little intro thing, but yeah, lighting is one of the big things that like. really kind of changed things there. And like Trevor Williams going on his lighting on photos and stuff, I was like, okay, I gotta try to have where I can see something clearly and everything in my videos. So, it's not like, oh, look at this mud, look at this terrible paint. It's like, no, it's not that bad. Look at it there. You can see it all the way there. Um, Other than that, again, like I don't use any special programs or things like that. I do the editing on my phone. So it's just like whatever kind of like random editor that comes with the phone. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then just like little tripod stands and things. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what changed. That's the
Yeah.
like the big
Lighting,
thing.
lighting is a big one. Like having really good bright lights and multiple so that you're getting all the angles and you're not casting all these shadows and stuff.
Hmm.
It does make a big difference. I think audio makes a big difference too. I think just people want to hear and see something that's pleasing, that sounds and looks nice. Um,
Definitely. And then even the lighting like in the room you're in, because like for a minute there I was like, okay, turn the lights off, use those, and like it just looked weird. Or like I was in a cave. But doing the lighting in the room itself and changing the ones out in the ceiling light into like bright LEDs and everything has helped a bunch with like
mhm.
just getting extra light in there. So
Yeah.
place and a sheet for a background.
Yep. So that's just hanging on a wall behind you, or
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. So that way
Cool.
it's consistent because like for a minute there I was in a light box. Like when I first started, it was just like a little, not even like 2 foot. It was like 18 by 18 light box, little pop up one, and it had a couple different backgrounds too. Where it was like, oh, here's light blue, black, gray, and just the random different sizes of figures and things like that. And the space I was working in, I needed to go bigger with it. And then for a
Yeah.
minute, I had just a big poster board, and I had where I was in my shed and had built like a little U frame to clip it onto, and that worked well for a minute there. And then it's just like it gets cold out there. Back into the house, and I had like a room set up for it and stuff, and it it just got to the point where it's like, okay, if I get in front of the camera, I don't have enough space. So it's like, okay, bed sheet.
Yeah. I wish I had a quieter house upstairs. So this room is there's no windows in this room. So like I don't have any access to natural light, but I would like to do more videos where it's just like countertop, clean up the countertop and just have a nice clean space in natural light. Like I think those videos tend to look really good. But yeah, I mean, yeah, and it's like I get your size struggles too. Like, so I'm kind of locked into my diamond backdrop, and it's kind of limiting because at certain angles it starts to get to the point where I can see the top of it, and I'll never, as much as I can, I'll never want to show like the edges of it when I'm doing a review because I want a nice clean look. So it's like sometimes I'm limited to how I can like film something based on my backdrop and its size. I've like I think someday I want to, and I think I've mentioned this on a previous Toy Tubers, so I've clearly haven't done it yet, but I want to do it like diorama foam, like construction foam, and just carve it out and paint it black and just have it huge and just nail it to the wall and just have it as big as it, bigger than I would ever need it.
I'd love to at some point because like it's always in the back of the head, just like make a diorama or something like that to have where you'd be like, oh, like here's this nice little forest, or here has a castle background or something, just to have where it's a little bit more visually interesting in
Yeah,
the back instead
yeah.
of just like black and stuff. But then I'm like, okay, if I'm doing that, I'm making that into a video too. Is making that, and it's fun to
Right. Yeah.
do.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah,
talking about like just carving the diamond shape into the foam and having that as my backdrop.
I,
Like
I
you could have like a texture or a pattern and it would look cool, even if it was like just almost like solid stone backdrop or something. I think I think there's some cool possibilities that haven't really been explored by people. I know people do diorama setups, D Amazing especially, right? Like in his whole
Mhm.
thing is he films in dioramas. But I'm talking about using diorama foam to make a textured backdrop that you light properly and all that stuff would be kind of cool.
I used to work at the Home Depot, the Orange Cult. I don't know if if someone makes it though, but if you could find, because they have like the faux diamond plate metal, if they have like a diamond plate plastic just to have where it's just like
Yeah,
wall stuff or texture like that, spray paint it black, that would probably be even easier there. Or
yeah.
could get with, I mean, I don't know your background on graphic design or anything like that, but get with someone who's into that. They can take if you have like a good high res picture of the diamond backdrop, um, do it together, and you can actually get something printed out to have
Yeah.
like a bigger
You
thing
know
on
what though?
the
Like I like the texture of it that it has. It catches the light. It's a
Mhm.
recessed sort of thing. And so that's like a very key thing for me with it is like it's got a texture to it. So yeah. But those are good ideas. Yeah, I've been kind of on the hunt for like a diamond something similar, but um you know, like larger. It's just kind of hard to find.
What if it was like tiles, kind of like how it's like they'll have it in like little podcast things where it's like the foam and everything, and it's like, oh, this cancels out noise or stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah,
It,
that'd
but
be
if it
cool.
was like the diamond, but it had where it was like like a 1 foot section, 2 foot section that you just piece together.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I still think that the diorama foam, just get a big piece, just
Hmm.
use large rulers to draw the lines and just carve, just carve the lines and then paint it, Um,
Get to
anyway,
carving.
yeah, I know. Anyway, so what's one change you've made that has boosted your creativity?
Hmm. It's hard to pick on that one there because I guess not trying to knock out 5 or 6 videos in a week has kind of helped out there. It's like not going like, okay, I work 12-hour shifts, I get home, I take care of my pets, and then it's like, okay, get something to eat real quick, hop into here and start trying to like get scenes cut together, edited at night, and then uploaded before I go to bed, and then mess with a thumbnail on like the next morning. That's my usual pattern. Is just kind of take the time for myself, decompress there. Um, One thing I think that's definitely helped, paying attention to the view counts and not just going like, ooh, piece of candy. Let's see here. Like, oh, I picked up this TMNT scumbug. I'm like, no one really is coming for me for TMT Playmates reviews.
Yeah.
They like the SH figure arts. They like the Legions. They like um the international stuff like uh Fury Toys and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So kind of paying attention to that has helped. And also just going off like my top 10 that I did, um I think it's done better because it's more interactive and I was in front of the camera. I'm not photogenic by any means, not thinking that at all, but just being able to like talk and relate to like a face instead of just hands, I feel like it helped a little bit there. Because that one, even though it's not like a specific toy, and I don't have any action figures in the picture in the thumbnail, which I think I might change to see if that adjusts the view on there a little bit. The views go up. Um, people just tuned in and watched. It was like, oh, they value my opinion, and they were like, oh, gross guy, downvote.
And what'll happen is they'll engage with you because you're on the screen, and they'll stay longer. And when your audience stays longer, YouTube is more likely to recommend it because that tells YouTube that the audience likes it, that people like the video, and then it starts to recommend it to more people, and it's like this cycle, right? So
Mm-hmm.
some people talk about the algorithm as being like this mystery, and I mean it's more about like it tries to figure out what your audience really likes and who your audience really is and like what they're into, and spread it to more people who are into that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. It definitely seems like that. And also, what what's your demographic stuff look like? Because like, so it's like it has like like the male, female, other. Like mine's 96% male, and then it has like age range from like 0 to like 65, and I'm like, yeah, that's my people.
It's the same. I think I might even be at like 99% male. And
I
then
got 4% female. I'm just like, wow.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have to check again. But and then like the age is probably 30 to 50. I forget if it's like 30 to 40 is my highest or if 40 to 50 is my highest, but like there's some one of those kind of like middle age. Yeah, I got a middle age audience, right? Um,
I got
so
the young there because I think like I did one on like a Poppy Playtime like stuff figure, and like I guess that one pulled everybody in and kind of like skewed that a little bit. And I was
right.
like, oh, well, one day I'm gonna do something with that and put like a wireframe in it, so maybe it'll come again.
Okay, here's the I think one of the bigger questions.
Oh boy.
What's your bread and butter?
Oh my.
I guess it connects to our last little thing, but like what's the bread and butter of your channel?
It has to be like current popular stuff, because like what I said with like the D&D, like obviously Dungeons and Dragons is more popular than it ever has been, even though Hasbro is just content on like tanking it. Um, that at the time when that cube, I did the cube video in there, that was hot, that was great. See here, but I don't want to say the more expensive figures have, right? It's like, oh, that's the bread and butter. It really is just like what currently is coming out. Like it's just hitting. If you can get it first, obviously it's gonna be like, ooh, a big boom in there. That's the real bread and butter there, which I hope to kind of like, at least with quality of content, kind of like pull it back the other way, just going like, hey, going over something that did come out last year, because like I'm sure that you pick up stuff and it's just like, oh, that's still in the box because it got lost with just the downpour of things that were coming out. Um, that's what I'm hoping with that. But really, yeah, it's current things, popular topics. Occasionally, I'll do something that's not like a review, where it's like if there's controversy, toy drama, and I feel like it's worth talking about, that
Mm-hmm.
has where like that's a big uptake there. Like another one that has where it was a high view count was when the Rat King was announced, the first one. It was like, hey, it's gonna
Yeah.
look like the Shredder Revenge one, and everyone was like, it's garbage. That one was huge for a second there. The Cobra Mothership had where like I did talked about that and just like why that wasn't working, and it's like, and that it just didn't seem like it was ever going to fund, and it didn't. Um, it did well enough, but I think people just did not, sadly, care enough for that particular like vehicle, and just
Mm.
didn't even like really want to like talk about or see about it, or even like the O-ring stuff. People were kind of like ugh about that, and they were like, no, they already had in their mind that like the O-rings from Super 7 are garbage already. Don't even want to know about it.
Yeah. So that was my next question was bringing in like controversial topics and topics that like spark conversations and stuff like that. I know some channels will purposefully try to bring in contentious conversations, and they'll start beef with other channels, and they'll
Oh, that's silly.
they'll bring in like like hot semi political topics and things, and like I'm curious like what your thoughts are on that whole tactic, I guess.
Okay, so I do love toy drama, but I love toy, focusing on the action figure itself,
Yep.
drama, not where it's like, oh, this guy had where he was a supporter for this politician, so he is the worst person never, don't buy those toys, or things like that. Or I feel like when it's actually like when it's a manufacturer kind of thing where it's like, oh, okay, or it's like bringing back a toy line, or just something straight involving the toys where it's like this, that's the better kind of drama. The personal stuff is kind of, it's lame, it's gross. Um, it's more like I'll talk about those. I'll talk about where it's like with Super 7, where it's like, oh, the O-ring figures. People are like, nobody wants that. It doesn't even have as much articulation as these other ones, and that's trauma because I feel like they don't have a good enough uh, dialogue with their fans and their like customers to be like, hey, it does have like a bicep swivel. It's just that our 3D renders are so like undetailed. You'd have to zoom in 100 times to see the slight line in the 3D
Right.
render that there's a cut there. But no, let's not do a thing going like, hey, let's be upfront with you every week and be like, oh yeah, we're like, no, the hands on these break off. We're sending you the new ones and stuff. There's none of that with them, and that's a little pet peeve of mine. Not like your fan base, your customer base. You need to stay in contact with them, let them know what's going on. That's a lot of toy trauma I get into. That's
Mm.
that's the controversy there. When it gets to what's one that's annoying. As much as I'd love to like talk about all the Hasbro stuff, it goes on where it's like, oh, their horrible CEO has where he fired 1,100 people before Christmas. Ugh, it's depressing, and it's something that like even me talking about it, I don't think would change anything. And then
Yeah.
going like, hey, they're terrible. They fired all these people, and they're switching like AI art for some of their stuff. Uh, don't buy them. But I got like the Marvel Legends Wolverine over there, and it's like I had to buy that, or I had to like it's
Yeah.
something I wanted, but it's like I don't want to be like a hypocrite like that.
Yeah,
And
I think there's like a dialing back that can happen, where it's like I've expressed that like a lot of the corporate crap and a lot of it had to do with Magic the Gathering, but they're owned by Hasbro. Wizards is owned by Hasbro, just like you were saying D&D and stuff
mhm,
like and just like this idea of and this actually gets into the next question, which is the idea of being an influencer, right? Or having this responsibility to, I don't know, be careful what you say because people tend to listen to you and right sometimes follow what you say. But yeah, like having a live stream where I bring up and talk like bring it up as like a roundtable like discussion with the guys and talk about like Mondo when they fired the entire poster employees, like they fired all the original poster guys, and that was the company, and they basically turned Mondo into a just a Funko brand, right? Like
mhm,
talking about that and how like I'm personally not gonna support them. Actually, that was one where I'm like I'm all done with anything Funko. But like with Hasbro, it's like it's tough because they've been good stewards of Magic for so many years, and it's only fairly recently that they've really like been tanking it. But so that's why it's like it's good to let people know how I feel about that. And I'm not gonna, I'm still gonna collect vintage collection stuff. I'm just not gonna collect as much.
mhm.
It's just not as appealing anymore because of the way they're behaving.
Exactly. It's just like you uh, like I guess when you were like a kid, you didn't care one iota. You're just like, oh, that's the He-Man action figure. You didn't have the ties to the company. You didn't know names
Yeah.
associated with it and stuff. So it was easier to be like, oh yeah. But now it's like, oh, I'm buying this. What am I looking at around here? It's gonna go back to Legions. I'm buying this Mythic Legions figure here. Uh, I know the people who had where they shipped it. They have where they do the customer care. The people who designed it. The people who had where they did everything with it. And it's like as an adult, you have access to that to know what you're getting in with. So you don't have where it's oh, you're more likely to know if someone had where they did something horrible or something like that, and it's kind of it's odd with that, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of I don't even want to call myself like an influencer because that's just it's just a weird name to it, but like
Yeah.
obviously people do listen to you and things like that when you have where you're on any kind of platform. Um, I hope that I just kind of just do where like, hey, whether this is worth buying or not, but I feel like there is a responsibility when you have like when you're any kind of figure, whether it be like 10 people see you or a whole nation sees you, you have a responsibility not to incite like an unrest or cause any kind of like uh, one-sidedness going like, hey, uh, what is it? Let's say hi toys. I got Godzilla by me going like, oh, you shouldn't buy this because it's made in another country. Just random crazy stuff like that. Just
Mm.
have where you try to be positive with things and not try to incite kind of crazy stuff. Obviously, you put out your opinion no matter what, but just be responsible with it. That's why I feel like no matter like me, anyone should be with if you have any kind of platform to talk on. I know I'm rambling on with that one because it's just like, oh, it's odd thinking that people listen to me and just go, okay,
Yeah.
that's
But like you
that's
said, even if it's 1,000 people or whatever, right? Like even maybe 200 views on a video, like that's that's 200 people who you're making an impact on, whether you're, you know, giving them some fun entertainment, which I think is most of what we do, right? Like just entertaining somebody for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, or if it's giving them good, like my goal is to give people good information and to help people make decisions on their own because I'm helping them see as much as possible of whatever the figure is. It's primarily what I do is reviews, right? So yeah, like that's kind of my answer to that question. It's like I I feel like my responsibility is to help keep people informed, help people find good deals,
mhm.
help people figure out, what's a decent value. Is kind of what I do. And yeah, I agree. Like I don't, I know it gets a lot of views and I know it gets a lot of engagement, but I try not to get into the extreme hot takes where, you tribe up and you find this thing to latch onto. And then no matter what you do, your whole goal is to like take this hard take on a topic and then always just argue against whoever has the opposing take, and there's no nuance or subtlety or gray area in the middle. And that's funny because that's the kind of thing that like really a lot of channels, they gravitate to that and that becomes their main thing. And they often do really well to the point where they have to manufacture that kind of thing, and it's almost this fake rage or whatever.
Yeah, having it. I think it was like when the Spirit of Vengeance had where it came out, and people were like, "Oh my god, this car is like." I can't remember how much it was. Say $300 or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
$300, and the amount of the plastic to weight is ridiculous. Hasbro's getting greedier than ever. Oh, this is insane. And then everything after that, whether it was like a wave or the next HasLab or anything, was like, Hasbro's at it again. They're doing it. Oh my god. Ooh,
yeah,
these Transformers are more hollow than ever. It's just I don't think that's fun content. I don't think it's worth going back to. You can't go back and go like, oh, let me watch where this guy like complained about the car for 15 to 20 minutes and
yeah,
have like a hot chick in the thumbnail going like, oh, this is stinky, but look at these. It's not evergreen. Like doing a review or like a fix or something like that, you can go back to it and be like,
yeah,
okay, oh, this is how you fix the neck ball on this figure that came out in 2009.
yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
That's I feel like that's better content. That's worth
Have
going
you
back and watching again.
speaking of Evergreen, have you ever had a video suddenly start to pick up pace like months later? Like just all of a sudden you're like, oh, why is everybody commenting on this thing all of a sudden? And then it's like kind of moving again.
Um, it has happened because I guess it just depends on again like what's popular at the time, and like there are cycles to things. Um, it would be with those like one-off videos where it was, God, I should just buy stock in that friggin' gelatinous cube, honestly, because like it had where it would consistently peak up and peak up and peak up, or um, depending on like what I think there was like a Mythic Legion one that had where it kind of kept going there. That was doing really good, and it would just be like if it was like a current event with it, or if it was like some kind of fix, I feel like it would pop back up. But again, it's that cube is on my mind. It's the biggest one where it kept going, and it doesn't make any sense to me. It's a plastic box.
You know, it's funny. I had I had a, I think I called it the top 5 Mythic Legion's horses. It was basically all of the horses, but it was like, it was, I didn't want to just do a review. It was like when, it was like when, not Balius. What's the gray one? Um,
Um,
with the
Boreas.
gray horse, Boreas.
Boreas?
Yeah, it was when
Yeah.
Boreas came out. And I just, instead of just reviewing Boreas, I think I did like top 5 Mythic Legion's horses, or is this the best horse kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because like just recently it's been kind of spiking up again. It wasn't last year during top 10 season, but because now it's top 10 season, it's spiking up because people are constantly getting fed through, because everybody's all interested in top 10 lists. So like
Oh,
this top 5 list is getting like fed to people, I think, because it's,
because
you know,
it's top.
it's yeah, top whatever, top number. So it's kind of funny. I will probably try to test it out again this year and see, like, maybe like during the summer I'll do a top something list and then see if it spikes up again
I, I
next
think it'd be
next
hilarious
holiday season.
if you had where I know Pox. This is the next one there, so we'll have I think it's Philogius,
Yeah.
Fluminous, Snot Horse, uh, top 6 horses. Next one,
Yeah, right.
top 7 horses. It's just like they're all the best.
Where is he gonna put it in the list this year?
He's like, I think
Okay.
I think it's too gross. It's going down. It's like I love how bony it is. It's number 1 for differences. New tooling.
Yeah. Okay, so last question. Any goals you have, kind of future plans, things you want to do going forward with your channel?
I I want to get back to like where, because like it's Billy Beige Customs. I want to have where I get back to like doing painting and making stuff too in there, and just have where it's like those, because I think I got like the 3 or 4 playlists on my channels, like toy reviews, customs. I think once paint tutorials, maybe, I don't know. It's been a minute,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Just have like a bit more variety in there, and spend a little bit more time on each video is one of my goals there. I've been trying to do one on the McFarlane. Was it a 3 pack of Pacific Rim 4-inch figures for like the past like 4 days, and like I had the table set up because like it's all it's all around here,
Yeah.
just stuff ready to go. And just like too tired. It's the holidays have got me, and I'm like, if I want to have where I don't just go like, oh, here's the box, here's the figures.
Yeah.
I just want to try a little bit more with it, and
Yeah.
that's my goal this year is that, and then also obviously more subscribers. Um, I think I'm gonna put like an impossible goal on it though. I'm gonna try it like my goal for like I go for Legion's Con because it's also on my birthday. Actually, this year I think G Con's on my birthday, November 8th. So like by then, the unattainable goal will be like 5,000 subscribers. I'm gonna go like insane with it. It's unattainable, but
Mm-hmm.
you'll see what happens. That's my goals this year.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Billy,
What's
thank
your
you
goal?
for what's my goal?
Yeah, what's your goal?
Well, um, my goal, I mean, I don't really have a channel goal. Like one of my goals is to paint more. And I don't know that I'll necessarily bring that to the channel, but like
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of like my one of my big things is I want to just do more painting and customizing this year. But like in terms of numbers, I would like to hit 10,000 this year. I think there's a good shot that I'm going to hit 10,000 this year cuz I got 2,000 subscribers last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would need to hit 10,000. So I think there's a good shot at that. So maybe I should do what you did and like ramp it up and be like, my goal is 15,000 or something and just have it be unrealistic. But yeah, there's that. And, obviously one of my goals, it's already happening is I wanted to do the ToyTubers. I wanted to bring that back. And that kind of comes back to like, um, content where you're looking at numbers and you're realizing nobody's really watching this. Like there were not a lot of views on ToyTubers last year. I got a good number of individuals telling me they loved ToyTubers, but it's something that actually tends to bring the channel down in terms of like numbers and stuff like that. So like my goal is to try to find a way to avoid that, to avoid ToyTubers like kind of dragging everything else down with it in terms of numbers. It's like one of the funnest things to do, and I love podcasting. It was like my first thing was podcasting. Like I started ages ago, 2015. I started podcasting. Um, so yeah, like I want my goal is to get ToyTubers to work both in terms of enjoyment, but also in terms of like benefiting the channel.
I think one way to do that to kind of like pump up toy tubers is to get the people on it to actually mention it in whatever current video they're doing, whatever, like
Yeah,
I'm gonna do the Pacific Rim one, whatever. Mention it, talk about it, be like, hey, I'm on this episode of Toy Tubers and things like that. That
right.
cross
Oh
promotion.
yeah.
That
Oh
that
yeah, totally.
I feel like I don't know because like I watched some of Toy Tubers last year and I feel like I didn't see a lot of people going like, "Hey, I was on Toy Tubers. Come check it out. Let's see my interview and things like that." I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it is it's such a wide variety of different creators
Mm-hmm.
that like a lot of people it doesn't cross over to a lot of different people, so you might not see it. But I mean, I definitely had people like on Instagram and social media and stuff sharing it out. I think another tricky thing is like when it actually gets published, like cuz this is a little different where we're recording this now. This is probably not going to be published until February. Like
Ooh, in
this
the
like
can. Yeah, I get
I put them my goal is to get the at least the majority of them recorded and done before I even publish the first one because I want to make sure that it runs as a season of 10 episodes, one per week. Like
mm-hmm.
that's how I like to run it because it gives people a fun little stretch of time, especially this time of year where there's not a lot going on and gives them something to listen to or to watch. But
Sounds good. Sounds
yeah.
good.
All right, Billy. Well, thank you for coming on to the Toy Tubers, and I hope to have you on maybe again in season 3.
Let's see if it lasts.
Just remind everybody what your channel is.
Oh, again, my channel is Billy Beige Customs on YouTube, Instagram also is Billy Beige Customs. Um, come on by and watch me. Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.